Is being fat a choice? Oh, bro. Chat, yes or no? Is being fat a choice? Lurkers, wake up. Post on this, please. Lurkers, wake up. Is being fat a choice? Yes, yes. The answer is yes. Yes, yes. I am very disappointed in my chat. You guys are being incredibly fatphobic. You guys are being fatphobic. Some people are born with big bones. Some people are born with some people are just all, they're all fucked up, okay? Some people are born fat. Some people are born 300 pounds. Some people are born 400 pounds from day one. And they're just fat, always. Chat, if being fat is a choice, then why is every American fat? Huh? Think about that. Are Americans just choosing to be lazy and fat? Is that what you're saying? Americans are just making the decision in mass to be massive. They're just choosing to do that. You guys are ridiculous. That's actually fucked up to even say that. I can't believe that. They don't. Why are they fat, bro? Shut up. Shut up. You're not allowed to ask that. Shut the fuck up. My entire upbringing, I experienced watching my mom overindulge and become obese, and I would do everything to motivate her to be healthy, offered to share her diet and work out, but she uses her knee surgery as an excuse. Sad face. You are not being tolerant. Ready? Chat, are we ready? Give me a 1 to confirm you are ready for this. 1, go.
I'm sorry. There's a big difference between the people who are telling people go out and get fat versus a Lizzo who's saying accept me the way I am.
She's not just saying accept me the way I am. She's dressing extremely scantily clad and then saying if you don't think that it's normal for a morbidly obese person to be wearing a G-string in the middle of public, then you're the problem.
Ooh, damn. Here we go.
Being fat or skinny is a choice. Agreeers?
Any agreeers? Yes or no? It is a choice.
Of course, not every factor is purely choice. I don't think that every factor is, but I do think a majority of it is. And in most cases, for most people, being skinny or being fat is about willpower. It's about the environment you grow up in, sure, but who you choose to associate with, what sort of things you choose to listen to, who you choose to kind of have as your friends around you and support you. All of those things are choices that you can make that will lead you closer towards being one or the other.
I know.
Is it too quiet? Is it good?
I know what I put into it, day in and day out. I choose not to eat some days. I choose, you know, how I want to look. And I don't fault anyone for how they want to look or how they want to be, but I think it's a choice at the end of the day. I'm very, you know, always wish-washy on how I want to be presented and if I want to gain weight or not. But the only person that's going to gain the weight at the end of the day is me and me myself.
For me, it's calories in, calories out. Go to the gym, you'll get buff. Don't go to the gym, you won't get buff. I understand that there's genetics that could cause you to want to eat more, but even with the genetics that cause you to want to eat more, the same solution is calories in, calories out.
I think the whole choice is, you know, always determined on who they are, and it's not going to just be a thing done overnight. It takes a lot of, I think it's like breaking the barrier.
This is the real deal, okay? A lot of kids are raised in obese, fat houses. And literally at age 1, they are fat. At age 2, they are fat. At age 3, they are obese. At age 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, their entire lives, they've never not been fat. Okay? That is a very gross, but also very common phenomenon, at least in this country, all over the world, but in this country, you know, maybe primarily. And so I don't think you can ever blame a 13-year-old for being fat. Okay, because they are raised in a fat household. When you're 13, you don't have decision-making agency, right? There's a reason why we don't let 13-year-olds or 16 or 17-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 9-year-olds vote, get tattoos, sign contracts, join the military, drink alcohol, whatever, right? You are not in control of your life. Your parents are making you fat. That really fucking sucks. However, when you're 25, when you're 30, when you're 35, whatever, when you're an adult, you can't just complain about that, okay? You need to take some responsibility. I'm an adult now. I'm on my own, right? And you can either just continue to be fat your entire life, or you can take responsibility for your life and say, yeah, you know what? I had a shit spawn point. I had shit RNG when I spawned into this world. but I need to do something about this. I need to lose the weight. I'm an adult now. I need to be a disciplined adult and do something about this.
And breaking a lot of things, not only your body, but also breaking your mental state.
Sure.
And again, that depends on who you are and what you want to go through.
Ooh.
Disagreeers?
I felt like as a toddler, I
Whoa.
always viewed myself as big. I grew up in a very poor home, so where my mom couldn't provide the meals that she could healthily. So when we would get free meals, even then, it would be canned food, and it would be very much food that's not as edible.
Whoa.
It was food for us, yes, but then I felt like once it reached a point where I was old enough to try to make my own choices, I made all of the wrong choices. I wasn't eating, and I was only eating grapes and lettuce, and that was mainly because I was in a sport, and that sport just worked me out so hard. And it was to the point where I just was scared to eat. I didn't like it. I would only drink water.
When you were eating grapes and lettuce, were you thin?
I was the thinnest I could be.
Were you still big though?
I was still big.
I was as thin as I could be. Okay.
But that was
Also, by the way, you should probably only drink water. She said she was only drinking water as if that's some extreme unhealthy diet that she was on. You should only drink water. That's a great approach. Drinking water is real good. You should do that.
skinniest I've ever been, and that's coming from somebody who was only eating somewhat salads that are just fruit and lettuce and water and maybe ice right before a practice.
Do you think that right now you would not be capable of becoming a thin woman? If
I
you wanted to?
possibly would be capable of becoming a thin woman, but since I was young, I was supposed to get blood tested probably when I was very, very young, and
boy.
I never did. And they had mentioned that it could have been because of my weight and how that connects with my thyroid. I never made the
boy.
connection, and I never had that leaning parent to be go and get checked out, go and do this, your weight is probably not your fault. It was always your weight is your fault, so that's your issue.
I mean, I also struggle with, thyroid and my own blood issues. I'm not quite sure, but I do see an endocrinologist and I go see a doctor. It's a choice to do the requisite steps. It's a choice to go grocery shopping instead of going to fast food when it's easy. It's a choice when you're grocery shopping to go to the outer aisles and not go into the bread section and not go into the junk food section.
Bread-based.
These are all choices.
As a disabled woman, I can't do a lot of the things that
You what? You don't okay.
people say calories in, calories out, oh, you got to go work out and exert it. A lot of the things that are typical, oh, this is how you lose weight, put me in the hospital. I have to navigate weight differently. I have to look at it differently. My weight is the way it is because of medication, because doctors put me in this position. And I had to learn, okay, am I going to be so hateful of my own body that I am going to backlash and put myself through extreme gym nights, through keeping myself from eating things that I should be able to eat. You should be able to have a balance. You should be able to go into the junk food aisle like other skinny people do and still not have to worry about gaining 20 pounds.
I don't even think she fathoms like what a normal diet is. Seriously. You should not be eating that. That is not normal. That's abnormal. You should not be eating all that shit. And I'm just going to be honest. If you're this big, you must necessarily thermodynamically be eating a grotesque amount of unhealthy food. There is no other way. There is no other way. Or drinking a grotesque amount of unhealthy corn syrup slops. You must be. It's very unhealthy. To say that like, well, I deserve to be able to eat and drink these things. I deserve so it's not how it works. It's not how it works.
But I don't think skinny people go into this junk food aisle.
They
I think
certainly
Yes,
do.
they do.
I eat a lot of junk food.
Yeah.
I mean,
A lot of junk
Yeah.
I mean, my DoorDash would tell you otherwise.
There's a thing called set points. There's a ton of research.
No, listen. Okay, this is total. They have a different point of view. This guy who is like borderline anorexic looking, what is a lot for him? He might eat like an 800 or 900, 1,000 calorie meal, and he's stuffed. Your stomach can expand and contract. If he eats a couple hundred calories, he's stuffed. Oh man, I just had so much junk food. To get that full satiated feeling, if you have a stomach this big, the girl in the red, she's eating 2,500 calories. Okay, and then after 2,500, she says, "Oh man, I'm stuffed." And so when we say, "Oh, I had so much junk food today," the scale is completely different. The volume of that food is totally completely different. They're using the same word. "Oh, I had so much junk food today," but it's not. It's not the same.
Research on it, that your body likes to be at specific weights. It likes to be in a specific way. So if you are fighting yourself to lose weight by not eating, over exercising, and you are damn near killing yourself to be at a specific weight, your body's unhappy.
It's important to note that a choice can be harder for people to make due to conditions in their life. Yes. But at the end of the day, it's still a choice. I could say that I had food addiction. I looked to food when I was stressed and this and that and this. And so it's harder for me to choose it than for someone who has like the perfect lifestyle, someone who has parents who are giving them this and that and this. But I definitely still acknowledge that it was my choice. At the end of the day, when I go there and I look and I see, should I order a second hamburger? I'm the one choosing whether or not I order that.
They seem to think that exercise is the main way to lose weight. Yeah, true. Like anyone that has followed a fitness or weight loss regime, bodybuilding, whatever, you'll know that really, 90 or 95% of the battle is in the kitchen. You need to eat or not eat certain things, and then 10% is what do you, how are you moving your body? In what way are you moving your body? Yeah. It's a dietary battle. It's a kitchen battle.
That second hamburger, I'm the one making that choice.
Yeah.
Hey, you all right?
This is some
I don't
ad.
know. I've been feeling the episode.
Skip that.
I would rather be skinny than fat. Can the agreeers
Yep.
please step forward?
Yep. Agree. Bro, what? How are we going to be skinny and then say no? Motherfucker, just get fat then.
There's a lot of different struggles when it comes to being a bit bigger. And I have a sister that is very, she's 400 pounds and she struggles a lot.
Bro, lose the weight for your kids. Please. Please. Or you're going to die by age 55 or 60. Seriously. Like, you need to lose the weight, bro.
Rather be that so that I could be around for my kids longer.
Can the disagreeers please step forward?
I'm speaking as someone who actually was a former smaller person, and I had the most body insecurities when I was small. I was constantly living in fear of gaining weight and having people tell me, "Oh, don't gain weight, don't do this, make sure that your weight is the same." And once I finally gained weight, I realized that first off, life wasn't over. I didn't feel any need to not engage in life the previous way that I had, and the attention that I got was different. But even as a smaller person, you get negative attention. And rather than trying to control my body to avoid that negative attention, I would prefer to address.
You need a cane to walk around. That's how obese you are. This is a problem. Okay. This is like more of a personal mindset problem more than a body weight problem. It sounds like you had a very dumb mindset when you were skinny, maybe. But that's like, oh man, dude. We are in trouble.
How
this is
the chair not broken yet? Is there? Yo. Oh yeah,
Thank you, man. Thank you, Ben.
address the situation as a society, make it more accessible for everybody to where we aren't feeling like I have to be a certain way that's normal in order to be treated like a human being and respected.
If I could counter, because I was a bit bigger when I was younger, and that's when I was the most insecure. I would look in the mirror. I did have family members that were skinny, but then I had a family member that was much bigger. And just the way that I perceived myself, I hated it, and I even became anorexic to like not be big.
I don't think skinny always equates to being healthy.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I am fairly skinny. I'm 6'5".
Chad, why was I thinking that you could have instant cast Ghost Wolf? Can you not? Am I not allowed to have instant cast? Doesn't exist? Fuck.
I'm 140 pounds last time I checked, and I'm severely underweight. And I know about this on a day-to-day basis. That being said, I don't know where I'd want to lean at an appropriate weight level, but I think it's important to understand for some skinny people, we're not living a great life.
I love how like 2 of the skinny people they brought on are like actually anorexic with eating disorders, as if they are like a representative of not being fat. Just like bring on some normal people, right?
By any means. And sometimes I feel like that's always kind of lost in translation when they see someone who's really skinny.
I guess it depends on what you mean. When you think of the term skinny, are you thinking of just like an average weight person, or are you thinking of how you are now?
I'm the average weight for like women in America.
Yeah, I like
Sweetie? 170 pounds. Okay, hold up. Average American female height. It depends on how tall you are. 5'4". That is pretty fat, but not as fat as her. That's pretty big, but not as big as her. She's pretty big. 175.4, that's pretty big.
If we're talking about an average, like I'm gonna be the closest. If your biggest priority
Can you use a real system? I will use the system of the country that put a man on the fucking moon, Bjorn.
is to be at a smaller body, you need to reassess your priorities.
Yeah, not focused on health.
Yeah.
And the immediate tie between skinniness and health, like you emphasized, there is such a gap between, one, the research, because the research has a huge fat-phobic bias in it, and there has been research that shows that they aren't, even especially during, let's say, COVID and the correlation between obesity. They rushed through those studies so fast because in society's mind, oh, of course a fat person is going to equal someone who's going to get sick faster, is going to get sick easier. It was an easy jump. So they didn't do all of the testing that they were supposed to do. They didn't check their bias.
So
they
if
didn't
by saying the study is biased, you're saying that the study didn't account for the variable that obesity may also take a factor into. It's just that there's so many variables in humanity that these pharmaceutical companies could only account for so many during their trials. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're biased. However, you want to talk about bias in studies, actually recently we've been doing the opposite. So for instance, a lot of our studies have been based on BMI. And so we've been showing that, oh, fat people aren't necessarily extremely unhealthy if we look at people with a certain BMI.
Do you guys want to know something? There was a point where, hold up. There was a point in my life where, according to a BMI chart, I was obese. Long ago, I was obese, actually, according to a BMI chart. I was obese. I was an obese American at one point. It's true.
However, bodybuilders also have a really high BMI, and so they get counted into that category. And so it wasn't until very recently that they equated for that mistake, and it shows, oh my goodness.
No steroids there. Oh no, there were a lot of steroids. There were a lot of steroids. Yes, there was D-ball, trenbolone, testosterone, and Anavar, in fact.
Being fat is actually extremely unhealthy, like way more unhealthy than we ever realized.
You can't gauge health by looking at somebody.
Yeah.
Like none of my health issues.
You can't gain health by looking at somebody. I don't know about that one.
All of them precipitated my weight gain, but I always get assumed, oh, don't you want to be skinny so that you don't have a cane anymore and you don't feel the way you feel? And it's like, no, because I have lupus and I'm always going to feel like this.
It's gonna happen
Like
no
I have
matter what.
CRPS. It's going to deteriorate.
This bitch is a fucking werewolf? What? Huh?
It's going to continue.
America has an obesity problem.
Holy shit. America has an obesity problem. True. Yep.
I think it's pretty clear. You
Imagine
look at
saying
the
no
weight
to
of
this.
the average American, you see how obesity has affected not just children. I mean, the fact that we have more younger and younger people who are looking heavier and heavier, and you see that, like, you know, the way that weight affects us as a society, and you compare that to how we were in the past. Now, not that we should always, you know, we shouldn't compare ourselves to the era of the Great Depression when people just couldn't find food, of course, but people are heavier now in an unhealthy way, and people are eating unhealthy. They are eating it through unhealthy access to food. They're eating diets high in seed oils. They're eating high corn syrup. They're doing all this kind of stuff that's...
Bro, you are so based. This guy gets it. He gets it, but he is also obese. Bro, you listen. My fat gentle giant, my obese gentle giant, put down the glop. Put down the slop, please. He can do it. I think this guy actually can do it.
It's not good for them that we didn't used
Maybe
to
he
do,
will.
and it's bad. It's not a good thing. It's an epidemic. It needs to be quashed in some capacity.
There's so much access to just anything.
Yeah.
Like, it's so crazy these days, and you know, I'm so surprised that we're actually.
Lupus is a systemic rheumatic inflammation, and so it turns you into a werewolf. Is that what happens, or what? Only when the new moon is when there's a blood moon, right, or what?
Reporting a lot of this, you know, and there's always people like, you know, like, it's fine that we have like 3 McDonald's like on the same
That's what
street.
Arugula has. That's what I thought. Okay.
And it's just like, we don't think that this is adding to the problem.
What I think is really sad about that is so many people in America just see the profit in it. I don't want to say I know that these people know the problem, but it's like, how can you not see the problem? They have to see it and just not care. They have to just be like, well, we're gaining profit. Do you see how much this McDonald's is making? Put another one across the street. Like, that's just like
It's not
how it
even that.
is.
It's the corporations, it's the medical industry. Having a fat country makes us money.
It doesn't help that our cities aren't walkable either.
Yeah,
America is a country of non-walkable
That
cities.
was
This is actually something very base that she said that she probably doesn't even realize. She doesn't even realize the implications of this. Fatties make a wide array of industries a lot of money. Fatties make money. That is true. Pharmaceutical industry, food industry, clothing industry. Fatties are making money. Fatties are an economic boon. It's true. It's true. It really is.
That is why I
They're more impulsive. They're more impulsive spenders. They're spending money on things. It's true.
wavered a little bit because I think we have a problem with how to treat obesity. I think we have a problem with how to make it so that it is not an epidemic. This is a systemic thing, that we are in a society and in an environment that breeds this. And we are doing it to ourselves, we are doing it to our children, and our corporations and our industries are doing it to us, and they aren't having to take responsibility for it.
Okay, so this is the problem I have. Imagine being a person that realizes the water. I'll give you an analogy. Imagine you realize the well water is being poisoned, but you continue to keep drinking from the well, right? Meaning you've identified, man, the corporations, this and that, they're all, you know, fucking us over. They're making us fat. They're making us unhealthy. They're making us addicted. They're whatever. But still, you consume the poison that they are feeding you, right? It's like, huh?
They're encouraging it with media. So
And the mukbangs, I was literally gonna bring that up. The mukbangs and like all those videos that just come up to trends.
You have to take into account that being obese or underweight is mental sickness as well. It's not just stop eating, it's not more. It takes a real amount of mental strength to change your way of life, even when it's life-threatening. It is true. Oftentimes, being obese and dependence on food as some sort of emotional support or stress relief is indicative of or related to other mental illnesses. It's true. Which segues on to the next point. America has like a very, very serious mental illness issue, and also a serious dependence on SSRIs and mood stabilizing drugs and that are downstream of that. A lot of medications you take for those for those mental illnesses will make you fat or increase your appetite. That's also true. But these are problems that must be solved. Really, it's curious. A lot of these problems, the answer is just being disciplined. That is the answer to a lot of these issues. Seriously, it's personal accountability and it's discipline.
Not only the mukbangs, but also like Lizzo and other big like media.
I'm sorry. There's a big difference between the people who are telling people go out and get fat versus a Lizzo who's saying accept me the way I am.
She's not just saying accept me the way I am. She's dressing extremely scantily clad and then saying if you don't think that it's normal for a morbidly obese person to be wearing a G-string in the middle of public, then you're the problem. And they're trying to normalize society to this obese culture, which is extremely unhealthy. And
what is an obese culture?
A culture which like normalizes
like, I'm obese
obesity.
and I haven't even heard that.
Well, obesity is already normal, so.
Well, I don't think it should be normalized, and it wasn't normal.
But
just a couple
what's the
decades
difference
ago.
between a obese person, myself, walking around in a G-string or a bathing suit, as I do almost every day, and a skinny person? Like, is it okay that the skinny person is doing that?
We should not have anyone walking around in G-strings or bathing suits in public. Unless you're at like a fucking beach or something, I guess. Neither. None of it.
I don't think so, but
I don't think
that's for other reasons.
I get the whole in public thing.
To say that when Lizzo does it is the same as a Victoria's Secret angel is just not the same.
Yeah, what's the difference?
What do you mean? Are you telling me they look? You're telling me.
Here's the answer she's not brave enough to say. Beauty should be glorified. Beauty in our society should be glorified. And this is uncomfortable. I'm sorry, but I want a society that glorifies and praises beauty, rather than a society that glorifies the laziest, lowest common denominator of human existence. Yeah, that's the rudest way to say it, but that's the truth.
I'm not saying they look the same.
Well,
but
I mean, Lizzo goes on
What's the
stage.
implication? So if I walk down the street, I'm a runway model. I'm a print and runway model. I have walked down a runway in a thong. So me doing that is shameful, but a skinny model is
Like
okay.
I don't know if I use the phrase shameful,
Problematic.
but I don't think that we as a society should be modeling obesity.
But I'm not modeling obesity. I'm modeling the lingerie that obese people need to be able to have availability to buy.
Yeah. So they've always had the ability to buy
we have not.
lingerie.
If you go to Torrid,
No,
a single
we
underwear is
cannot.
like almost $20.
Yeah.
And you go to like any other Walmart, any Target, and like all these underwears are on special for like $5 to like $20 and stuff.
Well, it
and
does
it's
take
like,
more fabric to make it.
It does take more fabric to
They
make
use
it.
that
but
as an
it's-
excuse, but
that
you
would-
make yards of fabric
Yeah.
for gowns. Like,
Is a small a different price than an extra large or a large?
It is.
And
yeah,
we're willing-
for 3XL shirts, I got to pay more money.
I think people view models and Instagram people and all of us who are plus size and proud as we're pushing this obese lifestyle.
Can I get a layer? Can anyone layer me
the
real
fact
fast?
that this is what I live in. This is my life, and I need other people who feel.
Can I get a
this
layer,
way
please?
to
Any
say,
layerers?
"Hey, I want to be able to wear clothes that look cute too."
Thank you.
I do think there's a problem with obesity in America, but I
fuck is
think
the
it's
guy?
a first world country problem because it's spread across the globe. And also, I don't see it as a problem. I do feel like health-wise, people should try to be healthier,
Oh, I use a
but
horn?
there's no
Okay.
perfect body. There's no perfect person. There's no perfect size. And there's people who are underweight. There's a lot of them. And then there's a lot of people who are overweight. So I really don't see it as like a problem. But just to touch on what you were saying, because
It is a problem. What is it? It's like 40% of kids in the country are overweight. 40% of school children in the country are overweight. To say that we don't have a problem with our obese culture, our obese society, we do. We most certainly do. Our life expectancy is going down. Seriously, we have gotten so we've reached a quite literally a critical mass of fat people. Our life expectancy is going down. It's really bad. It's really bad.
I am in the fashion industry. I wanted to become a fashion designer. My dad was one.
Middle of
and they
my-
buy 10 rolls of fabric for one price. So it really doesn't cost that much to make underwear.
Sure, but don't you also have to worry about distribution? I mean, if the average person is, let's say, in between small, medium, large, and you're sending clothes out for those, you know you could send out 10,000 of this, 10,000 of that, 10,000 of that. You can't always send out 10,000 3XLs because you're not going to have that many people fitting in the 3XL.
No, because there's somebody who works in marketing and they research that area. There's a census, so we have a database of what type of people are there. Now we don't know who's going in there, but we know the type of people that live in that area and the type of the people that come and visit the area. So that person is doing their job accordingly, and usually large sizes are sold out.
Okay, so somebody brought up the food desert earlier. I can't even think of an area that would have a so-called food desert.
Sorry, can someone explain, like maybe just from my ignorance, I'm guessing a food desert is just there's no food anywhere?
No, it's healthy options for food. So you can go into certain low-income areas and you'll see a Starbucks, a McDonald's, a Chick-fil-A, but there's no Trader Joe's.
A food desert actually.
We are at the point where we are blaming our morbid obesity on the fact that you don't have a Whole Foods and Trader Joe's within driving distance or within walking distance or something.
Properly, there isn't any, like for a long period of driving, there's one gas station and a.
We don't have regular. Oh no, we do have regular grocery stores. Yeah, we do.
Liquor store. Then you have to drive 2 more miles to hit the next grocery store.
But with the food desert, it's not just that there can be a grocery store there, but if I'm making minimum wage, I'm not going to spend all of my money on what is going to last me 2 meals versus what's going to last me an entire week.
Yes.
Or if I'm on EBT and I have specific things that I have to choose to buy versus what I can't buy.
Yeah.
Listen, real quick. Keep in mind this was. Keep in mind, I was on steroids, okay, but listen, this was $50 of food a week. I would go to the grocery store and I would spend $50 on food a week. And I was buying really, because I was a broke fucking college student. I was poor, like I was very poor for several years of my late teens, early 20s. And it was a lot of ground beef, potatoes, rice, oatmeal, maybe cheese, like literally maybe cheese if I had extra money. I was that poor. A good week for me, if I had extra money, I'm gonna buy some cheese for the potatoes. That's how it was. And so this idea that it's like, oh, you know, I'm not. This is just so fucking foreign to me. This is just such bad, lazy logic, such fucking copium.
I'm born and raised in Colorado. In the outskirts, there's so many small towns that you don't even know that they're there. Most of them you won't see. So
$200 a week in today's money? No, actually, you want to do something crazy? I've got a wife, myself, and 2 kids. Wife, 2 kids, myself. We spend $150 a week on food today. Family of 4. My wife is couponing. We're bargain hunting at the grocery store. We shop at Safeway if you have Safeway in your area. We spend $150 a week for a family of 4, and my wife cooks, and we eat home cooked food. We eat out maybe once a week, and that might be at a restaurant or getting fast food, and that's it. Yeah, $150 a week.
See on a map, but if you're from there, then you'll know, and they all have to drive a decent amount to be able to go to an actual grocery store.
But how often are you going grocery shopping? Maybe like once every 2 weeks would be typically normal. So you have to do a drive once
a week.
So you're making a drive once a week, once every 2 weeks.
This is not a lot of people have drive
access to the
like what if I don't have a car?
I was like, I don't
I don't even
and
drive.
if you don't have, usually these food deserts also have very poor public transportation options.
Yep,
So
like in the
you are
mountains.
left with people who are stranded.
Yeah, but then what are they eating at all?
Yeah,
Unhealthy crap.
Like,
no, but how are they surviving
They're
at
going through the
all?
drive-through. They don't got to.
Okay, so what about the idea of eating 400 calories of Chick-fil-A as opposed to 1,500 calories of Chick-fil-A? Why don't you get the 4? If this is really a serious problem for you, seriously, and there's no alternative in this fantastical hypothetical you've created in your mind, which is most certainly not reality, but I'll go along with it just for the sake of proving a point. Why not get the 4-piece chicken nugget pack versus the 12-piece chicken nugget pack? Right?
car to go to
Yeah,
the
exactly.
They usually, what I see when I go to those rural towns and those rural places is they have chickens and they have animals.
Right.
And guess what? You can get some healthy food out of that. That's like, having eggs and protein and things like that. I think I would be healthier if I lived rurally. In fact, my wife and I are trying to leave the state so we're not near all the Uber Eats and all the
I grew up in a town of 500. The obesity problem there was not as significant as, say, in LA. And we talk about like food deserts and stuff. The nearest Walmart where I grew up was 45 minutes in any direction. The nearest McDonald's was nowhere near to be seen for a long time. So when I hear these, like, and there could be some evidence there as like the obesity problem is very low lift.
Were there grocery stores in your small town?
Yes.
Exactly.
Like I'm like kind of baffled by this idea.
Thank you.
Maybe I just need to go out there and like experience the food deserts, but like there was grocery stores where I grew up. Just because we lived in the middle of nowhere doesn't mean we didn't have access to food. And actually, and I have to agree, we did have access to healthy food. Very healthy.
150 a week sounds very low considering U.S. prices. So we shop at a store called Safeway. I don't know if you guys have that in your area. Safeway has a mobile app, and they have coupons on the app. What we eat every week is entirely 100% dependent on what coupons we get on the coupon app. So if this week steak and potatoes are on discount, this week we're having steak and potatoes. If next week salmon, shrimp, and rice is on discount and they've got coupons for it, that's how we eat next week. Okay, and so we $150 a week for a family of 4. That's how we do it, and we're super couponing, and our diet changes depending on what we want to have.
Food all the
or
time.
What is on sale.
I don't think this is big of an issue in my personal opinion.
Fat shaming is worse than skinny shaming.
Oh. They should have the question, fat shaming is effective. As much as this might make people uncomfortable, I think that fat shaming probably works. You can say it's rude. Yeah, sure. But I think it probably does work.
So I do agree that fat shaming is worse than skinny shaming. Just overall, entirely, the way that people like comment on people's weight compared to somebody skinny, they usually don't comment on somebody skinny. Yeah. They don't think there's something wrong with them. They don't, like, they'll maybe say like, oh, you're very thin, do you want to eat a cheeseburger? But that's not as bad as telling somebody you eat 10, stop. And you don't even know that they're eating 10.
Fat shaming is a systemic problem. You're not gonna not get a job because you're too skinny. Skinny bodies are praised in our society, whereas fat bodies, like,
I think it probably depends on the job. I think it depends on the job, right? If you're the super skinny anorexic guy, eating disorder guy on this panel, and you apply to work on an oil rig, you're probably not getting hired to pump oil on the oil rig, right? Or maybe the construction crew. You know, you're probably not getting hired.
Like, I don't get it as often as other people, but I get a lot of comments on my Instagram that are saying like, you're really beautiful, but you would look a lot better if you lost 50, 60 pounds.
How dare they?
Something that I always get a lot of comments on is my masculinity as a man because of how skinny I am. It's always something that I've always kind of dealt with. My favorite comment is always, I look like a sickly, ill Victorian child. And
that's horrible.
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh at that.
No, I don't. It doesn't bother me as much, but this idea that skinny people can't also get these kind of comments are just kind of mind-blowing. That doesn't mean that they're...
Men, listen. Women, do not talk for a moment, please. The men are going to have a talk for a second. The men are talking for a second. Hi, Lizcat. Other than Lizcat can talk. Men, if you want your life to be as easy as possible, you need to lift weights and be physically fit. You need to have some physical presence in this world. If you want your life to be as easy, smooth sailing as you possibly can be, you need to have some sort of reasonable physical build. Seriously, people, has anyone here been fat and then muscular, or muscular and then fat, or thin and then fat, or thin and then muscular? You know, everyone here knows that's been through those ups and downs. You know that people in society treat you differently based on how you look. Okay, and you get treated really well if you're muscular. That's just the truth. You can think that that's unfortunate or think that that is not how things should be, but that is how things are. You get treated the best if you're a muscular guy, if you're a muscular, physically fit guy, and you have some sort of physical presence to you. It's true.
You know, one side is getting it worse than the other. I think that there are both sides getting piled on, just at different varying degrees.
I think we're conflating two things as well. So there's a difference between fat shaming and fat discrimination. Fat shaming is an aspect of fat discrimination, but some of the things you were touching on are specifically societal and systemic fat discrimination that goes into our medical system. It goes into employment. It goes into all of our civil rights as fat people that skinny people don't necessarily.
I'm having a tough time. I'm having a hard time.
Necessarily have that same issue. And I come from cultures where they straight out called out skinny people. Oh, you look like bones. Oh, flaca. All of that. So I watched my cousins go through it. I went through it when I would get too skinny. As people, we are just too scrutinized when it comes to our bodies. We don't let people live.
But I think that's a good point. You said you were called skin and bones when you got
my cousin.
But your cousin.
Your dietary choices are not letting you live past age 50. You're talking about making choices that are going to let you live. You are going to die prematurely if you are this fat. It's seriously, it's bad.
So people using shame as a motivator to get your cousin to not be too skinny. Shame as a motivator is a powerful tool. So the reason I sit over there is fat shaming worse than skinny shaming. Well, you could argue that shaming somebody in order to motivate them towards a healthy lifestyle is actually a good thing. Now, I have a lot of empathy because hearing your story about how you've been struggling with this since you were a child.
Since I was like a newborn baby, like health, just everything's just been on that end where I've never known anything about being skinny or being fit or being athletic. I've never known anything about that.
Probably your situation, I don't think shame necessarily would motivate you, but for somebody where it is a option, so for instance, if you watch TLC, you watch My 600-Pound Life, 1,000.
So this is the reason why we know that fat acceptance does not work. We have been shouting down this idea of fat shaming bad. We've been propping up body acceptance, fat acceptance, obesity acceptance for 15, 20 years now, and we've only gotten fatter. In fact, we've gotten like exponentially fatter. It literally does not work. In fact, it actually seems to be the opposite. It seems to be that body shaming, well, that I don't know. I think that like I said, it sounds fucked up to say, but it just seems to be the case. It seems observationally true, is that having a set of societal standards and expectations and holding people accountable to them in society, in this case, not being morbidly obese, and not catering society to people that are morbidly obese, seems to dissuade people from becoming morbidly obese. And this, we're talking the cultural component of this. Of course, there are a bunch of other components here, but this seems to be true.
Proud sisters, family by the ton, all of them can do it. All of them have had this systemic issue of weight gain.
I have watched those like as a younger person, and it would make me feel disgusted with me when I was a kid, so it would make me worse, and it made my mental health worse. Because then I'm like, is that how like everybody automatically views me as just like somebody who's oversized and could possibly never even attain it because it's so just common?
I don't think we should shame anyone to do anything.
No.
I think everyone deserves to like themselves enough to like enjoy life. And if you do that as a fat person, okay. If you do it as a skinny person, also chill. It's not my business.
Shame is a broad category. I do think shame works in some cases. I think that there has been good fat shaming towards me and bad fat shaming. Bad fat shaming is just, somebody just saying, you're fat, things like that. That doesn't really work. But what does work is somebody looking at me and saying, don't you want to be around for your kids? And that worked.
I don't think
that
that's
shaming.
Yeah, like, do you consider that shaming?
I do. I think that's shaming. I think they were telling me, like, you should lose weight to be around for your children. I think that's shaming. Like an attempt to like try and say something bad about me.
Like they're personalizing it towards you and towards your kids. Like,
sure.
Of course, yeah.
But I think that worked. I think that worked. That really encouraged me to go to the gym and start trying to lose weight.
But that's you though.
Sure. Like, I think you have to be specific to the person.
I think that's one thing is it depends on the person.
Sure.
And if if someone wants to shame me, and like, you know, it depends on the person. I've been shamed a couple times and it's kicked me into gear to try to gain weight, but it's still really hard.
Sure.
And it's, you know, it depends on who you are, I think.
When you were making a comment about people questioning your masculinity, I get the question of actually looking like a woman all the time, and it's always in play. I always get compared to like male characters, especially when I don't wear makeup, and that's because I don't have boobs, and I can't help that, but it's definitely really, really hard to like have people tell you constantly, like, here's the standard of
I agree,
how
Joel.
a woman should
I like
look,
your
and you don't
paragraph,
look like
Joel.
that,
I think so.
without even saying it. They don't
That's a
say it,
component
they're
as well.
categorizing me. They're making fun of me, saying that I look like this one soccer player or something. And you know, I think it's funny, but also shame can also be hard, because I can see what you mean. Sometimes it can really motivate you when it's out of love, but when it's out of pain, and when it's out of like not knowing someone and just saying it, then
yeah, the people who said that to me about my kids were not just some random guy online. It was people who were close to me and I knew cared about me, who I had a conversation with. So I do think it matters who says it, but I still would consider it to an extent shaming. And I'm okay with that. I think there is good shame. I think sometimes it helps motivate people in the right way.
The body positivity.
I think this is a great thing to be ashamed about. Like, if someone is commenting, hey, you're so obese, are you not worried about dying before your kids reach maturity? You should feel bad about that. Seriously, because the implication is that you as a man are lacking discipline to such a degree that you cannot stop eating unhealthy food, to the degree that you are going to die before your children reach maturity and adulthood. You care so little about being there for your children as they age and become adults and maybe even parents on their own, that you are willing to eat until you die before that happens. You should feel terrible about that. I really think so. I really think so. That's a terrible thing. That's a terrible thing. And this is same for parents that are addicted to heroin or methamphetamine or whatever else thing is going to prematurely kill them. Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. I think that's if you're going to feel shame about anything, you should feel shame about that.
Activity movement promotes childhood obesity.
Yep. What was our question here?
Diet culture has positive effects.
I need to know what they mean by diet culture here.
I guess for me, diet culture is an important thing to have for people in the world. What I've realized after we're about to finish this up is there wasn't a lot of talk on skinny culture or like skinny people as a whole. Maybe that's because of how the prompt is. But I think it's important, if we're going to give positivity to kids who are obese, I think it's important to give them the options to, you know, say if they want to lose weight, they can.
Okay, I've got a question for the Americans here. I'll tell you my experience real quick, and then I'll ask you my question. We took a bunch of health classes. We went over puberty, STDs, some drugs, why they're bad. We have our health units in our public school education. I don't remember ever having any dietary information. We never talked about what is a calorie? How does a calorie work? How many calories should you have? What's the glycemic index? All these things that really matter in regards to maintaining your physique and being healthy. I don't think we ever really talked about that. And so I guess it's not shocking that people just have no fucking idea how to read the back of how to read the nutritional information on the back of a food product, right? What does this stuff mean? What's a carb? What's a protein? How does it impact you? This stuff. I don't think we ever talked about that. Food pyramid. I remember the food pyramid being around and it was up on the wall and stuff like that. But I don't think we ever really talked about it. We never had a real stern lesson about it. And so I'm saying you guys also kind of feel the same way? Okay. Also, I think the food pyramid has been they don't talk about that anymore. It got debunked. The food pyramid has been debunked.
I don't see a problem.
In Europe, you did? That's good.
In any real sense.
How the fuck do I get up here, bro?
I think that diet culture is a reason that a lot of people struggle with weight problems in the first place. I have even struggled with my own weight issues in the past, and I was like struggling kind of with depriving myself too much.
Real quick, I'm doing this fucking shaman quest, Call of Fire. I don't know where this thing is. Maybe I need to be up top. I don't know. I'm just running around looking for it. I'm looking for a way up.
Because I had a trainer, And then I started binge eating.
Correct,
And
okay.
as soon as I had like a mental break where I was like physically incapable of stopping myself from putting food in my mouth, I immediately went to see a doctor. And that doctor told me to read a book called Intuitive Eating. And it wildly changed my life. And it was about getting past diet culture and about how so many people ruin their lives with diet culture. And you see it with like somebody talked about eating
There it is,
grapes
okay.
and lettuce,
Yeah.
and it's grapes and lettuce, and it's just like it's this extreme, and so you go from one extreme and then you break, and then you go to the other.
I don't know where this idea comes from, that it's like, you know, okay, I need to lose weight. I guess I need to eat plain ass chicken breast, broccoli, and water. I guess that's what I have to do. Oh man, dieting sucks, bro. That's not like the only way to lose weight. But I feel like so many people think like that.
Extreme, and so like I was in my extreme, I broke, so that's why I'm anti-diet culture.
Yeah, I tried keto for a while. And that's the thing about what I realized is like that fad diet kind of stuff. And yeah, did I lose weight? I absolutely lost weight, sure. I didn't keep it off. And the reason I didn't keep it off is because diet culture is about turning the word diet from your overall eating into an activity that takes place over a period of time. A diet should not be something you do from January until May of next year. Diet is what you continually eat, is what you continually put into yourself. Yeah.
Lifestyle change.
Yeah. So my issue with diet culture is this idea of like, oh, I've got this perfect solution for you, man. All you got to do is this, and this, and that. And it's like, no. Like the reality is like, yeah, there are good, correct, and objective ways, I think, for a lot of people to eat. And yes, everybody has to have some variations here and there. There's no one bag fix all, and diet culture is so much about trying to say like, all you got to do is just eat cheese puffs every day for the rest of your life.
And it's easy.
Yeah. And so that's why I think diet culture doesn't help.
You know, you're always going to get those people who have the perfect answer. They have the perfect solution to either lose weight, or diet isn't just losing weight, it's also gaining weight. You know, and I think a lot of people, maybe it's just for me, but when I diet, it's actually not the opposite of fasting. I'm trying to eat more. I'm trying to gain more.
Yeah.
And I think people forget that when it comes to diet. When people
Okay, where's the fire tar from these? Okay, I know where. Okay, we're good.
instantly hear the word diet, they think losing weight. And I don't think that should always be the case.
I've been on a lot of diets.
You know-
I've been on diets for myself.
You know what was always hardest for me back when I was bodybuilding and trying to gain weight and lose weight and get cut? Gaining weight for me was always way harder. But I mean, it's like gaining weight the right way. It's gaining weight without gaining fat. That was way harder. Bulking for me was always way harder than cutting. Super hard.
I've been put on diets, and I've been put on diets by my coaches. So when I was young, I felt like it was more so like fasting, not eating, but working out, and maybe hopefully eating once you get home as a reward. And then when it became like, oh, like you're a good person in the team to like be the big person, be the defender, be buff. So it was like, now we have to gain all this weight and we have to pound you out. So it was like I had to eat like 5 meals in a day. And I felt so gross because I was just like, I've never had to like pull out like a bar or something and like eat it during class and be like, I have to eat this because it's part of my diet.
When we talk about diet culture, we're talking about not your diet as a whole. It's usually a fad diet is what we're talking about when we're talking about diet culture. And for me personally, I know that I've seen a lot of, especially women in my life, going on fad diets that are just not sustainable. And that's kind of the purpose of diet culture, is that it's not a sustainable thing.
But we're all talking about like mainstream, like keto, like gluten-free. And I think everyone's just polarized on these certain ones that I believe that you should eat gluten. I think if you take it out of your diet, you're actually going to get sick.
Unless you
Unless
are.
celiacs, no, like, yeah.
It goes back to like what she said, which is, intuitive eating.
So what is the positive you think you've seen for people from diet culture, which I think, and I guess, what do you consider diet culture?
I guess like diet culture to me is the resources you need to get to where you want to be in your life, in your body. That's how I've always viewed diet
By
culture.
dieting, do you mean like journaling what you're eating?
Yeah, if you want to journal, if you want to, talk to a therapist, if you want to work out, if you want to see a doctor, if you want to go on meds, like
I think the problem is not diet culture. Diet culture is a result of something else. I think diet culture is a result of shortcut culture. Lazy, minimal effort, shortcut culture, trying to get results as quickly as possible. That is what causes diet culture, right? Because that is the promise of all of the fad, all of the meme diets, is that you're being promised fast results, right? When really, and so yeah, I guess the problem is diet culture, but more axiomatically than that, it's shortcut culture. It's quickest route possible culture rather than making really holistic life changes. There are so many just absolute no-brainers. Absolute no-brainers that if you do these things, you will lose weight, you'll look better, you'll be healthier immediately. But you have to, and it's just like being healthy. Okay, so soda, completely cut out soda. Alcohol, completely cut out alcohol. If you are at a restaurant and you're getting a hamburger, don't get the fries. Don't eat the fries. Right? Maybe there's an argument to be made for having the hamburger. At least there's protein in there, right? At least there's something. Fries, just completely dead calories. Don't have them. Things like that, just completely dead, do nothing calories. Cut them out. And it's very obvious. Like, should you have the ice cream or not? Should you have the potatoes or not? The potato chips? No, you should not. I don't think you need a fucking meme diet to figure these things out. It's
dad culture.
I can't imagine anyone not knowing whether or not potato chips, ice cream, Coca-Cola, alcohol are good or bad for their well-being or diet. I refuse to believe that people don't know that, right? Or fucking putting 600 calories of sauce on whatever the fuck it is they're eating, right? I don't know. Brian, it did go yesterday, by the way. Thank you very much. Thank you, bro. Thank you very much. Also, Taco Healer, thank you. Thank you, Brian. Also Vesdex, thank you very much. I don't know. Did I see the stats about UK people eating on average 150 packets of crisps per year? No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I don't know, man. It really depresses me. Not really because all the adults are fat. It depresses me because seriously, it's like 41% last time I checked of school children are overweight. And so fat parents, they create fat kids, and the cycle continues. Being a kid who is 10 years old and you're already obese, that really, really bothers me. I really, really am bothered by that. If you're a fat adult, fuck you, I don't care. Fuck off. I don't care. Go be fat. But like I will take my kids to this is 2 days ago. Went to the little play area at the shopping mall. It's a little fenced-in area, and there's kids running around. They've got structures they can climb on, and the parents can sit in a ring around the kids and kind of watch the kids play. And so we're sitting there watching our daughter play. And I will tell you, seriously, there's a bunch of fat kids running around. They're anywhere from 2 to 10, and they're fat. And for literally every single fat kid running around, there is a fat parent who is not paying attention to their child, and they're swiping on their cell phone, ignoring their child, browsing their cell phone while the kids play. They're not engaging with the kids. They're not affirming their child as they run around. It's fat parents. It's disengaged fat parents that have fat kids. And it's even more depressing because half the time kids want attention, kids want affirmation from adults or from their parents. I'm sitting there with my wife and we're giving attention to our daughter as she's playing. These fat kids will come up to us. We don't even know. They'll come up to us and say, "Hey, look at me. Look what I can do. I'm going to jump off this thing. Come watch. Come look." These kids are seeking affirmation from us because their parents are ignoring them. And it's fat parent, fat kid, parent that's on their cell phone ignoring their child, and their child is seeking affirmation from another adult. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's fucking terrible.
But it's not being super, like when you diet, you're not being like, I'm completely cutting out carbs or I'm completely doing this, right? You're
water only.
You're like watching your macros and your micros and you're calculating
like
that
I guess
and you're staying
if you're asking if I know how many calories I have to eat, yeah, like I have to eat like 4,000 a day.
When most people talk about diet culture, they've done some sort of...
You are not eating 4,000 calories a day. You are not eating 4,000 calories a day. When I looked like this, I was eating 3.2K. This is me eating 3,200 calories a day. You are not Mr. Broom Handle, Mr. Broomstick, you are not eating 4,000 calories a day.
Extremely restrictive thing, and when you do something really restrictive, it changes your brain chemistry and the way that you think about food, and it makes you obsessive over food. And then, but it sounds like the way that you're doing it is extremely healthy because you're not depriving your body of something.
But isn't that just goes back to, like, you guys are talking about the extremes of diet culture?
Diet culture is one thing, and then a healthy lifestyle,
having a
and
healthy
intuitive
diet
eating type
is
thing
different.
are two different things.
Okay.
I personally don't think of living a
That's
healthy
right.
lifestyle as a diet.
You've been in like model spheres. Do you see diet culture and how has it impacted space?
There was a point in my life, like when I was a junior in high school, where the person that I was with at the time, he's like 6'6" and super tall. And so, you know, the mom was like, hey, like, my son is gonna go audition to this big agency, which is still big to this day, and, you know, you should come. So I went, and I weighed 115 pounds.
Dude, there's so much like cringe fucking ego with the way that these models talk. There's nothing more cringe than a fucking model. God. They're just insufferable the way that they talk.
And I was a D cup, and they said that I weighed too much. And
Ooh,
so seeing that really struck me in the beginning with the negative part of dieting, and just kind of went into the spiral of like...
There are people that eat a lot and don't gain weight. Have you seen competitive eaters? Competitive eaters don't eat 400 hot dogs every single day. They do that once every 6 months. They're not eating like that every single day. Also, I think they're exercising. They're physically fit. They're going to the gym. They're not doing that. It's not. They don't. For every single meal, 3 times a day, they don't have 400 hot dogs or whatever else they're eating. That's not their normal diet. Also, there's probably a lot of puking. Yeah, they probably puke that shit up afterwards. I would bet.
Okay, well, if I'm too big, then what are people doing to not be this size? Like, how can I make it to do what I want to do if this is my limitation to it? It took years later to realize, like, shit, I was really disciplining myself for no apparent reason except for this underlying feeling from years ago that I could never get rid of.
Also, this is something I think is true. Maybe if we have like some diet master in the chat, I think your body is only able to like actually not digest like extract energy from so many calories per day. Like if you eat 10,000 calories in one day, I don't think you're actually absorbing like 10,000 calories worth of energy and storing that in your body. I think you've got like a cap on it. Yeah, maybe metabolize is the right word. Yeah, I think so. It's actually limit how much you can put on and how. Oh, okay, there you go. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And also I'll tell you, this was a time on stream actually probably 5 years ago. I did a 10,000 calorie eating stream, and that was one of the worst decisions of my life. I sat here for 18 hours. It took me 18 hours to eat 10,000 calories, and it was fucking terrible. I was eating ice cream and potato chips and all types of fucked up fat ass things. And took me 18 hours. It was terrible. Around the 7,000 calorie mark, around 7,000 calories, I was getting hot. My body was sweating. I was overheating. Like my body was like, figuratively kicking into overdrive to try to process all this and digest all this. And I have beads of sweat. I'm overheating. I have a headache because I'm getting so hot. It was actually fucking terrible. It was terrible to eat that much. It was absolutely terrible.
When you're talking about like discipline, I think it can be really positive with dieting and like intaking your calories, but for me personally, and I'm a very specific case, seeing those numbers and knowing that I couldn't achieve it because I didn't have the appetite was also just so saddening to me, because reading the bare minimum of what a woman needs 5'5" at my age, I was like, that's not that much, and I still couldn't eat it at the time, and I'm like, what's wrong with me? There's different ways to motivate people, and one of them is out of pain and anger, and I feel like a lot of the diet culture, whether it's for positive or negative, is just trying to gear into that.
This is what I've noticed, is that the more accepting we have become of deviant behavior, the more prolific it gets and the more debased society becomes. Like I don't. Maybe there's an argument to be made that actually having more of like a Puritan society sort of keeps people in check. That might be the case. I don't know, because this idea that I don't know, maybe there's a such thing as like too much tolerance or too much acceptance or too much personal freedom being afforded to people. I don't know. It does in multiple areas of society. It kind of doesn't seem to be working very well. Obesity being one, being maybe the best example.
And you know, I just am more about being healthy.
I hear diet and I think of something that's positive, and it's been positive to me, and you know, it's something I'm always trying to achieve. I guess like if we were to redo the same exact question, I may hesitate and not walk across the line. I guess I'll never know, but hearing these perspectives were really good because I probably didn't know as much about the extremes.
I want to thank all of you for sharing your opinions with us and for challenging us, and I really want to thank you. I thank you for the back and forth. It's something that
I wish they had people that were just normal on this panel and not like their skinny people were models with eating disorders. Those were the non-fat representatives are anorexic models. I wish they just had like normal everyday people that are not fat and also not anorexically skinny, right? Crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. I see a lot of mental gymnastics to avoid taking any responsibility for the state of your physical being from these fat advocates on the show, and it's a pretty toxic mindset. Pretty toxic mindset. Anyway, there's the fat video, dude. Now I'm just depressed. That video depresses me. I'm bummed out.